let me take you back to a different time. December 2021. Kyle Busch was coming off a pretty average season to his standards, where he finished with 2 wins and missed the championship 4 by literally 3 points after a chaotic Martinsville race. And going into the offseason, he felt pretty good about himself. Back in 2020, he had a very abysmal season, but he came back in 2021, and even though he didn't get a bunch of wins, it was still a good season for him. However, on December 20th, 2021, everything changed for Kyle Busch. Mars announced that they would be leaving NASCAR and pulling their funding of Kyle Busch after the 2022 season, which was obviously a pretty big deal considering what Kyle Busch and Mars, being the M&M sponsor, candy sponsor, all of that, had done over the last 14 years. I mean, they won over 50 races and 2 championships, and Kyle Busch was seen as one of the greatest drivers to ever run in NASCAR. And now they were just seemingly going to part ways right after the 2022 season, which obviously there was a whole season ahead. A lot of stuff could change. A lot of stuff could happen. But it was still a very big topic throughout the offseason. And it also ended up being a very big topic during the 2022 season. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole collapse in 2022. That's probably better for its own video. But throughout the whole season, contract negotiations between Kyle Busch and JGR were at an all-time high. And combined with Kyle Busch having very mixed results throughout the 2022 season, I mean, obviously he had a win at Bristol Dirt, but after a late summer collapse where he plummeted throughout the NASCAR standings, stuff was looking very rocky heading towards the end of the regular season. And rumors were really starting to fire up with Kyle Busch potentially leaving even, which nobody a year before that even thought was a possibility considering, the season he was having. But this season, with the lack of sponsorship and just everything going down, it really looked like Kyle Busch could possibly leave. And on September 13th, 2022, it was announced Kyle Busch would be driving the 8 car for RCR in 2023. Now, of course, JGR proceeded to just, give him the worst equipment for the round of 16, and Kyle Busch was eliminated from the round of 16 for the first time ever. So, heading into 2023, the standards were pretty low. Basically, Busch fans were just kind of expecting a pretty rocky start to a new team and everything, and nobody really knew how RCR was going to perform, even though Reddick had just won 3 races the year before. But this was kind of where everyone was starting to believe that Kyle Busch might be washed, which is quite insane to think about when you take into account not even 5 years before this time period, he won a NASCAR championship, and not even 10 years before that, he won another one. But just to make it more stressful for Busch fans everywhere, in January 2023, Kyle Busch was arrested. No, I am not joking. In January 2023, Kyle Busch was on a vacation to Mexico and unknowingly brought a handgun with him, which in Mexico is a no-no. So, just to make things even better for, Kyle Busch fans everywhere, there was a time when people weren't even sure if he could race because of the whole arrest thing. But don't worry, everything got cleared up. He's back. It's all good. And heading into Speed Weeks, there was a new narrative surrounding Kyle Busch. Now, in years past, Kyle Busch was hated, and that was mostly because of his run-ins with other drivers like Dale Jr. or, moments he complained or stuff like that, or just driving a Toyota. But now with a new team being RCR, the team that literally had Dale Earnhardt, the arguably best driver to ever race in NASCAR, and now he was just seen as this, older driver who fans adored. And, of course, with the gun situation, of course, NASCAR fans were all like, "Yeah, we love Kyle Busch now. Guns, yeah." And after a very chaotic clash where Kyle Busch was spun by Joey Logano at one point and still managed to come back and finish third behind his teammate, all hype was to Daytona. And heading into Speed Weeks, a lot of people had Kyle Busch as a favorite. And, Kyle Busch had raced many years and he still hadn't got that Daytona 500 that he had been saying in interviews that was probably his biggest achievement that he still has yet to accomplish. But to get to the Daytona 500, he had to get through the duels.
Chase Elliott, yeah. And that was very... Kyle Busch in the wall. One too many times. Very aggressive. Suarez was pushing on the back bumper of Kyle Busch.
Yeah, so that wasn't too great. I mean, they now had to start at the rear, and they needed a backup car, which obviously is not ideal, but something very weird happened in the garage after this because Kyle Busch needed to use Austin Dillon's backup car, which had the number 3 on it. However, they basically just put the paint scheme over to number 3, which, of course, made everyone start thinking, oh, wait, is this Kyle Busch's year? Especially since this was his 18th try at the Daytona 500. And, this was his first race of RCR, and, everyone was making the Dale Earnhardt comparison. So they're like, maybe this is his chance, but heading into Daytona, nothing was set in stone. It was finally the 2023 Daytona 500, the second year with the next-gen car, and Kyle Busch's first year with RCR. Unfortunately, he would be starting all the way in the back, so there's a lot of ground to make up. But he certainly had the car to do it, and by lap 50, he was already up in the top 10. And as the stage went on, he just stayed basically up in the top 10 until everyone started jostling around for positions, and he ended up not getting any stage points. But that's fine. It's fine. At the start of the season, it's the first stage, and it's at a super speedway. Super speedways are always, all over the place. And in stage 2, for the majority of stage 2, he was just chilling up in the top 10. He was just riding around and just chilling, avoiding wrecks, the whole thing. Until 22 to go in stage 2, because unfortunately, the nemesis of the Kyle Busch RCR era, other than slow cars, would finally make his appearance, being the goddamn speeding penalty.
And Kyle Busch is too fast exiting his pit. He'll have to do a pass-through penalty under green.
Now, we didn't know it at the time, but this would be a reoccurring theme in, every race at this point. I mean, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's a matter of when it is going to happen. But I digress. There was still a whole race ahead, and after getting his lap back and everything at the end of stage 2, he just regrouped and just, the entirety of stage 3, he was just moving to the front. And eventually, him and his teammate Austin Dillon linked up, and they basically just set their eyes on getting to the front. And after a pit stop that worked out pretty nicely in Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon's favor, they found themselves in the top 5 going at it with the RFK cars. And in the closing laps, they finally did it.
We're talking about that 8 ball, and here he comes.
Like they're moving back there. Outside Chris. Go back and get Chris to you. Get Chris to you. They're hanging Chris here. He's 3 off you. 2 off.
This was it. This was Kyle Busch's chance to finally win the Daytona 500. And with his teammate behind him, it didn't look like anyone could really get past him.
You're done. The race is over. There's a
Suarez around. Off turn 4.
Oh, screw all that, I guess, because Daniel Suarez decided he wanted to ruin the entirety of Speed Weeks for Kyle Busch. But he's still got a chance. Over time, usually the winners get screwed over, but it'll be fine. I mean, there's still... Why'd Austin Dillon take the bottom lane? Oh, we're doing the thing where he drops down. Okay, yeah. That makes a lot more sense. I mean, if Austin Dillon can just get it going here and then start pushing and the whole bottom lane just starts going, I mean, oh, shoot, it's actually working. Oh, shoot. No way. It's going to be just like before where they just start pulling away from the entire field. I mean, look at that bottom lane. What are they doing? No. Come on, get back going. You can't let Joey Logano get this. Oh, my God. The entire bottom lane is broken. Busch is just... he's just sitting out there. Come on, push it. Oh, they all wrecked. Half the field has got to be gone. Yep. Half the field is gone. In fact, great job, Fox, with the great camera angles, too, by the way. Yeah, I think it might be over, RC. Whoa, wait, he's still up here. He might have a shot to win it. Wait, what the hell? If he could just get a better push and then possibly go up the middle, he might be able... There goes his chances of winning a 500. And to make it better, Stankhouse wanted 500 before Busch. And just so Busch fans could really feel the pain, he gets clipped by Allmendinger, who is spun out and doesn't even end up getting rewarded with a top 5. Even after all of that, he finishes 19th in a race he really should have won. And it just really goes to show that, like, the Daytona 500, no matter how much of a great driver you are, how much you win, how many championships you win, it all comes down to one big factor: luck. And it's obvious that, unlike Bristol Dirt nearly a year before, Busch had no luck at the 500 that day. However, Rowdy Nation wouldn't have to wait to see him win very long, as 1 week later at Fontana, California, Kyle Busch got his redemption in the Lucas Oil Blue number 8 car, getting his first victory with RCR at this track. And it wouldn't stop there, as he would later go on to win Talladega in very dramatic fashion, and then later on dominate Gateway and win. However, almost 3 years later now, it's still to be wondered how different it could have been if he won the 500 that day, and how much it could have affected his legacy now, as he hasn't won in over 2 years and possibly could never win again. But thank you all for watching this video. This took hours upon hours to create, but hopefully you all enjoyed, and hopefully one day we see Busch win again.